You want to know why the world has lawyers?
This is why the world has lawyers.
Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and we have yet another story of another Karen, this one being dubbed the SOHO Karen, and I have to first off start by saying I object to the use of the term Karen. The term is now being used to describe any hysterical person who is overreacting to a situation, whereas the original term was being used to designate someone who was irrationally applying absurd rules. And I took issue with this back with the story of Amy Cooper, who was dubbed the Central Park Karen. She was in fact not the Karen in that story, it was Chris Cooper who was in fact the Karen. Amy Cooper was just overreacting to the situation. People now are just using the word Karen to refer to anyone who is overreacting to a situation. I think it's an abuse of the term, but who cares? Let's get into the story of SOHO Karen. The woman being dubbed SOHO Karen is named Maya Poncento, and she recently made headlines when she accused the Grammy Award-winning trumpet player Keon Harold, his 16-year-old son, of having stolen her cell phone. For whatever the reason, in her mind, she thought that this 16-year-old kid had stolen her cell phone, or at the very least, she just accused the kid of having stolen her cell phone, and she demanded proof that the kid showed that the cell phone in his hands was not her cell phone. The kid's father, Keon Harold, said that the kid was not going to provide any such evidence, and when the kid started walking off, she tackled the kid. And as a sign of the times in which we lived, the father, Keon Harold, had recorded the entire thing on his cell phone and posted it to Instagram. From a Yahoo News article, as previously reported by The Griot, Poncetto made headlines after Grammy-winning trumpet player Keon Harold posted an Instagram video of her hastily accusing his teenage son of taking her cell phone while in the lobby of the Arlo Soho Hotel in Manhattan, where the Harolds were staying. And before we get any further into this vlog, let's just watch the cell phone footage in its entirety along with some CCTV footage which shows Poncetto tackling the kid.
Show me this is my phone. Show me. No.
You don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No. Okay, then show me the.
No,
show me all my...
you get a life
over there. What's on your background?
You better go use find my iPhone. Go do that.
Find my iPhone is on.
No, you can't. No,
I'm the manager of the hotel.
I don't care.
He will
this
right
is my
now.
son.
Hey,
did you see me just come downstairs out of the fucking elevator?
I'm trying to help.
No, but you're not helping.
I am.
What you've been is disrespectful.
No, I'm trying to settle the situation.
My son has nothing to do with her.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the lobby.
Then show me the proof. No, he's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you kidding me? You better get on.
I need you away.
Let's go, kid.
I need you away.
I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Better get on somewhere.
No, please get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Listen, get your ass off.
It turns out, in fact, that the kid had not stolen Poncetto's phone, that she had left it in a taxi cab, and that it was returned to her moments later. The video shows Poncetto lunging at the younger Harold, demanding he prove that the phone he was holding was not her phone. The elder Harold defended his son from the woman, all while capturing the incident on his phone. An Uber driver would later return her actual lost cell phone moments later. Since then, Harold has demanded Poncetto be charged for assaulting his son with the support of civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, according to CNN. Now, everything about what Poncetto did is wrong, and Nate Brody, another YouTube lawyer, just did a great video breaking down whether or not she should in fact be charged with a crime, and in my humble opinion, she should in fact be charged with a crime.
So you've probably heard about the SOHO Karen story in the news, but we're going to do something crazy today, right? We're going to look at that story and take race out of the equation and see if you can decide whether this woman should be charged or not.
In my humble opinion, there's absolutely no question she committed a crime here. At the very least, there is sufficient probable cause to warrant charging her. Maybe she'll have a defense in law, I don't know, criminal insanity. And although I think she is clearly suffering from some form of mental issues, this is not supposed to be a defense of what she did. I believe she committed a crime. I believe she should be held accountable for what she did. The only question here is, could this entire situation have just been avoided in the first place? We are living through excessively stressful times for everybody here, including someone who clearly seems to be having some form of a mental breakdown over the prospect of her having lost her cell phone. Now, I am well aware of the concept of confession through projection, so accuse me as you will, but I believe I have sufficient insight to know when I am committing an act of confession through projection and when I am just acutely observing someone's mental breakdown. Some form of a mental breakdown at the prospect of having lost her phone. If you listen carefully, at one point in the video, she almost says, "I can't live without my cell phone."
Better get on somewhere.
No, please get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone. I cannot.
SOHO Karen is literally having a mental breakdown at the prospect of having lost her cell phone, and the human in me says, who knows why? Maybe she's waiting for a call from her sick parents. Maybe she's waiting for the results from some sort of a test. Who knows why she is having this mental breakdown, but if all that is required to put an end to the situation is just to show her the back of the phone to prove that it's not hers, why not just do it? You don't have to do it. Nobody is legally requiring that you do it, but if it puts an end to the escalation of this situation, why not just do it? But no, Keon Harold does not allow his son to show the back of the phone to prove that it's not hers, that he didn't steal it, because he doesn't have to, and he immediately assumes that the reason the woman is making these accusations has something to do with race.
We have what you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Now, for those of you who have been watching my channel for long enough, you know that I've said in the past that identity politics is a poison of the mind. It is a poison of the mind because it is a mental framework through which everything that happens or does not happen, happens or does not happen because of the identity of the individual. And incidentally, I was saying this even before I knew of Gad Saad's book called The Parasitic Mind, which is a pretty good read if you have time to read it. Or listen to it on Audible as I do, because I am incapable of reading books without falling asleep. Identity politics is a poison of the mind because no one is actually looking for the what. They are looking for the why. Not what happened, but why did it happen? Not what did they do, but why did they do it? And the answer is always identity politics. If you are mean to someone, identity politics, discrimination. If you are nice to someone, overcompensation, identity politics, discrimination. If you see race, discrimination. If you don't see race, discrimination. And any of you out there watching this who might also adhere to identity politics are probably just going to write off everything I just said as being that is such a fill-in-the-blank person thing to say. Was race the motivating factor of Maya Ponceneto's accusations of Harold's kid? Who knows? We don't have enough information from this situation to come to that conclusion, and to instinctively jump to that conclusion is itself identity politics. Setting aside the fact that Maya Ponceneto herself appears to be of Latino descent, which would make the accusation of racism somewhat more contextually untenable. But viewing this through the blinders of identity politics, jumping to the conclusion that the only reason anyone would accuse his son of having stolen her phone is because he's a black kid, the father, Harold, refuses to allow his son to show the back of the phone to show that it's not her phone. He doesn't have to, he's under no obligation to do so, but in not doing so, a woman who is clearly unhinged goes one step further. She goes one step further and actually ends up assaulting the 16-year-old kid by tackling him as he attempts to leave, and if the only thing she gets charged with is assault, it'll be her lucky day. People often look at situations where police violence occurs and they say the police are there to de-escalate the situation, not escalate the situation, but in reality, we should all take time to just de-escalate situations that can be easily de-escalated. Imagine if this entire situation could have all just been avoided if the kid took the phone out and just showed her the back and said, look, this is not your cell phone. That may have resolved the situation, but given what I found of SOHO Karen's history, that might not actually have resolved the situation. And for this, we need to go back to the beginning of the Yahoo News article and the first paragraph that I didn't show you yet. SOHO Karen has history of unruly behavior, run-ins with police. Before accusing a teenager of stealing her phone, Maya Ponceneto had 2 alcohol-related arrests earlier in 2020. The plot thickens for the woman dubbed the, quote, SOHO Karen. The woman, identified as Maya Ponceneto, who allegedly attacked and accused a 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr. of stealing her iPhone just over a week ago at a New York City hotel, apparently has a history of unlawful behavior. Later on in the article, it seems that this isn't Ponceneto's first time causing a commotion in a hotel. The New York Post reported that Ponceneto and her mother were both arrested for public intoxication last February. TMZ reports that at the time, the 2 women were staying at the Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills and refused to leave, prompting hotel management to call the police. In May, Ponceneto was arrested again, this time for drunk driving and driving with a suspended license. She was sentenced to 3 years probation after pleading no contest. So it does seem that if Ponceneto has any mental issues that might explain why she was behaving the way she was behaving in this video, she also has a history to match. And by the way, if I have been saying Ponceneto and not Ponceto throughout this video, my apologies, I am bad with names. Sometimes in diffusing a situation in which you have absolutely no obligation to diffuse the situation, you are in fact diffusing the situation of someone who may in fact be slightly more dangerous than yourself. It may be nice to say that I am the innocent victim of an assault, but I would prefer to say that I avoided the assault altogether. And if all I had to do to avoid that assault was show the back of my cell phone, I would do it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I would do it not only to spare the potential grief to someone who seems to be having some form of a mental breakdown, I would do it also just to protect myself from an unnecessary escalation of a situation that could result in me getting tackled by someone who I don't know from a hole in the wall. Someone whose behavior is so erratic that had I known about their unruly history, it would only justify my decision all the more. But at the end of of the day, this entire situation just goes to show that people can choose to escalate problems, they can choose to de-escalate problems, and they can choose to pick fights that they should never fight in the first place. Being right does not mean willingly and deliberately not de-escalating a fight that could probably be de-escalated, and although I think Keon Harold is 100% right in this situation, I do think this entire situation could have been avoided if people just willingly took a minute to de-escalate a situation. Treat everyone like humans, give everyone the benefit of the doubt in as much as possible, especially when it doesn't cost you anything, and de-escalate a fight before it actually starts. And if you want to know why the world is stuck with lawyers and policemen, it is specifically because too many people are not willing to do this. So with that said, if you like my videos, you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. If you want to support the channel, all of these support links are in the pinned comment. We've got PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar, YouTube membership. We've got merch. Robert Barnes and I have a page on Locals. It is called vivabarneslaw.locals.com. I am on Rumble under Viva Frei, but more important than any of that, take care of yourselves, check in with friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well during these incredibly stressful times, and now you know your vlog. Peace out.